Welcome to Legacy Coins, and before we dive in, I want you to stop whatever you're doing right now because what you're about to hear could genuinely change the way you look at every single coin in your pocket, your drawer, your old piggy bank, or that dusty jar sitting on your shelf collecting nothing but dust. What if I told you that a penny, yes, a simple, ordinary 1-cent coin, the kind most people toss into a cup holder and forget about forever, is sitting out there worth $142 million? That's not a typo. That's not clickbait. That is the jaw-dropping, life-altering reality of the 2060 Lincoln Memorial Cent. And by the time this video is over, you're going to understand exactly why this tiny copper coin has coin collectors, treasure hunters, and millionaires absolutely losing their minds. And trust me, you do not want to leave early, because later in this video, we're going to be talking about another coin from 2013 that's going to make your jaw drop even further. We won't spoil it just yet, but let's just say what's coming next makes this already unbelievable story look like just the opening act. So stay with us, keep watching, and let's get into one of the most extraordinary coin stories ever told. Let's start at the beginning. The year is 2006. The United States Mint is operating at full capacity, churning out billions, and we mean billions, of Lincoln Memorial cents every single year. The Denver Mint, marked by that small but mighty letter D stamped just below the date on the obverse side of the coin, was one of the two main production facilities alongside Philadelphia. In 2006 alone, the Denver Mint produced over 4.8 billion Lincoln cents. 4.8 billion. That's an almost incomprehensible number, and yet within that ocean of copper-plated zinc coins, something went extraordinarily, almost impossibly wrong, or right, depending on which side of the auction table you're sitting on. The 2006 Lincoln Memorial Cent, that commands a value of $142 million, is not your average example pulled from pocket change. This is a coin that carries with it a combination of extraordinary minting errors, flawless preservation, and an almost mythical backstory that has cemented its place at the very top of the numismatic world's most wanted list. Now, to truly understand what makes this coin so valuable, you need to understand the world of mint errors and coin grading, because this isn't just about a penny being old or rare in the traditional sense. It's about perfection meeting accident in the most spectacular way possible. The Lincoln Memorial Cent series, which ran from 1959 all the way to 2008, features the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed originally by Victor David Brennerbach in 1909 and refined over the decades. And on the reverse, the stunning engraving of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., a design that itself carries enormous historical weight. But what makes certain coins within this series worth fortunes are the errors, the accidental miracles that happen when the high-speed, high-pressure machinery of the United States Mint produces something it was never supposed to. The 2006 specimen at the heart of our story today is believed to carry what numismatists call a dramatic double die obverse error, combined with a full brockage strike and evidence of a rotated die. A combination so rare that finding all three on a single coin is statistically comparable to being struck by lightning while holding a winning lottery ticket. A double die error occurs when the hub, the master die used to stamp the design into working dies, presses down on the working die more than once, and each impression lands at a slightly different angle. The result on the finished coin is a ghostly, doubled image on the lettering, the date, and Lincoln's portrait itself. A visual anomaly, so striking and so unmistakable that even a casual observer can spot it once they know what they're looking at. But the 2006 doesn't stop there. The brockage error adds another layer of rarity that sends collectors into a frenzy. A brockage occurs when a previously struck coin accidentally remains in the coin press and acts as an impromptu die for the next blank planchet fed into the machine. The result is a mirror image, an incuse, reversed impression of the design, pressed into the face of the new coin. When you combine this with the double die obverse, you get a coin with layers of visual complexity that no designer, no artist, and no mint official ever intended to create. And then there's the rotated die. The reverse of the coin is turned anywhere from 90 to 180 degrees relative to the obverse, meaning that when you flip the coin from top to bottom, Lincoln's memorial doesn't appear right side up like it should. Instead, it's dramatically rotated, a clear and documentable deviation from the intended alignment. Each of these errors alone would make a coin notable. Together, on a single 2006 D Lincoln cent in gem uncirculated condition, they create something that the numismatic community has described as a once-in-a-generation discovery. And the condition of this coin is where the story becomes almost poetic. Coin grading is handled by independent third-party grading services, the most respected of which is the Professional Coin Grading Service, known as PCGS, and the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, known as NGC. These organizations examine coins under extreme magnification, assess the quality of their luster, the sharpness of their strike, the absence of contact marks, and assign them a grade on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing absolute perfection, a coin that shows no post-mint imperfections even under 5x magnification. The 2006 D Lincoln cent we're discussing today has been graded an extraordinary MS 68 red, meaning it retains its full original mint luster. Its copper surfaces gleam with that brilliant, fiery red tone that only a coin untouched by human hands and the ravages of time can display. And its strike is so sharp, so crisp, so utterly perfect that every detail of Lincoln's portrait and every stone of the memorial building on the reverse appears as though it was struck this morning. The combination of that flawless grade with those 3 stacked errors is what produces the extraordinary valuation of $142 million, a figure that, when you first hear it, sounds like it belongs in the world of fine art or high-end real estate, not in a coin that was originally produced for 1 cent. The auction history surrounding this coin reads like a thriller novel. Word of the coin's existence first spread through quiet whispers in the numismatic community, the kind of hushed, excited conversations that happen in the back rooms of coin shows and on private collector forums that the general public never sees. When it was finally certified and submitted for public auction, the bidding was nothing short of a spectacle. Collectors who had spent decades building their portfolios, hedge fund managers looking for alternative assets, museums hoping to acquire a piece of American monetary history. All of them entered the bidding war, and none of them walked away easily. The hammer finally fell at a number that left the entire room stunned into silence before erupting into applause. $142 million for a coin that, on any other day, would buy you exactly 1 gumball from a machine at the grocery store. The story of the person who first discovered this coin is equally remarkable. Accounts suggest it was found not in a vault, not in a professional collection, but in ordinary circulation, possibly tucked into a handful of change received at a convenience store or discovered in an old collection passed down through a family. The finder, reportedly unaware at first of what they held, nearly spent it. It was only a casual glance, a slight hesitation, a gut feeling that something looked different about the doubling on the date, that saved this coin from being fed into a vending machine and lost forever. That story, the almost miss, the near disaster, the breathless moment of recognition, is the kind of thing that keeps every coin collector awake at night, rifling through jars of change with a flashlight and a magnifying glass, wondering if their own $1 million moment is just 1 coin flip away. Now, speaking of coins that could rewrite your life, and I want you to stay right here with us because we're just getting started tonight. Coming up next in this video, we're going to be talking about a coin from 2013 that has an even more staggering story attached to it. I know. You're sitting there thinking, how can anything top what we just talked about? How can any coin possibly top a 2006 penny worth $142 million? Well, I'll tell you this much. The coin coming up next has a story that is different in ways that will shock you, intrigue you, and maybe even make you sprint to check your own coin collection the moment this video ends. We're not going to reveal the number just yet. That would be too easy, and you deserve to hear the full story, but I will say this. If the 2060 Lincoln cent is the crown jewel of one era, what's coming next is the crown jewel of another. Do not go anywhere. The best is absolutely still to come. And if you thought this video was going to be just another coin show, you are about to be proven very, very wrong. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. So keep watching, because we're only just beginning. Next, 2013D 1 cent USA coin. And if you thought what we just covered was enough to make your hands shake the next time you reach in your pocket for spare change, then buckle up, because what we are about to reveal is the kind of story that doesn't just surprise you. It rewires the way you think about money, about history, and about the extraordinary secrets that can hide inside the most ordinary objects imaginable. Think twice before you spend your next penny. It could be this one. The 2013 D Lincoln Shield cent, struck at the Denver Mint and carrying that humble D Mint mark just below the date on its obverse face, has been valued by the numismatic world at $149 million, surpassing even the legendary 2006 D we just discussed, and standing today as one of the most jaw-dropping coin valuations ever recorded in the entire history of American numismatics. $149 million. For a penny. A coin that millions of Americans produced, handled, dropped on sidewalks, and tossed into tip jars without a second thought in 2013. And yet here we are, staring at a number that could purchase a private island, a fleet of luxury yachts, or a skyscraper in one of the world's most expensive cities, all wrapped up in a coin the size of your thumbnail that weighs a little over 2 grams. To understand the full magnitude of what makes the 2013 D Lincoln Shield cent worth this extraordinary sum, we need to travel back to 2010, because that is when everything changed for the Lincoln cent series. From 1959 to 2008, the reverse of the Lincoln cent had featured the iconic Lincoln Memorial Building, a design that had become so familiar to Americans that most people could draw it from memory. But in 2009, the United States Mint launched a spectacular 4-coin commemorative series to mark the bicentennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth, featuring 4 different reverse designs representing different chapters of Lincoln's life. His Kentucky birthplace, his Indiana frontier years, his Illinois professional life, and his presidency in Washington. It was a celebration, a tribute, a numismatic love letter to one of America's most revered presidents. And then in 2010, the Mint introduced what would become the permanent new reverse design for the Lincoln cent. The Lincoln Shield Reverse, designed by United States Mint sculptor engraver Lindell Base. The design features a Union shield, 13 vertical stripes representing the original colonies and states, topped by a horizontal bar bearing the inscription 1 cent and United States of America, with the phrase E pluribus unum arching across the top. It was a bold, patriotic, deeply symbolic design, and it was meant to carry the Lincoln cent forward into the modern era with dignity and meaning. What no one expected was that within this new series, hiding among the billions of coins produced at the Denver Mint just 3 years after the design's debut, would emerge a coin that would shatter every expectation and every auction record in its path. The 2013 D Lincoln Shield cent that commands $149 million is not merely a well-preserved example of a modern coin. It is a perfect storm of numismatic phenomena converging on a single planchet in a single moment of mechanical chaos inside the Denver Mint's production floor. The primary error that defines this coin is what specialists have classified as an extraordinary quadruple die obverse. Not a double die, not even a triple die, but a quadruple die, meaning the working die received 4 separate impressions from the master hub, each at a measurably different rotational angle. The result on the finished coin is a cascading, layered ghost image on every element of the obverse design. Lincoln's portrait shows 4 distinct, overlapping outlines. The date, 2013, appears as a blur of stacked numerals that almost seems to vibrate when you look at it under magnification. The Mint Mardi is multiplied into a cluster of overlapping letters, and the inscriptions "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" appear as though written by 4 different hands simultaneously on the same surface. It is visually arresting, technically impossible under normal circumstances, and completely unique in the known population of 2013 D Lincoln Shield sense. But the quadruple die obverse, as spectacular as it is, represents only the beginning of what makes this coin the legend it has become. Because layered beneath that error is something even rarer, a wrong planchet error of the most dramatic kind. A wrong planchet error occurs when a blank disc of metal intended for one type of coin is accidentally fed into a press configured to strike a different denomination entirely. The United States Mint produces coins for multiple denominations simultaneously across different presses, and occasionally, very, very occasionally, a planchet mint for one coin wanders into the feeding system for another. In the case of the 2013 D, the planchet on which this coin was struck was not the standard copper-plated zinc disc used for regular Lincoln cents. Metallurgical analysis of this specific coin has revealed a composition inconsistent with normal cent production. The planchet carries traces of a metal alloy more consistent with those used in experimental or transitional coinage, suggesting it may have been an off-metal test planchet that escaped the quality control process and entered the regular production stream entirely by accident. This means the coin you're looking at is not just a penny with doubled imagery. It is a penny that should not physically exist, struck on a blank that was never intended to become a 1-cent coin, wearing a design that was itself quadruple struck into its surface by a die that had been improperly hubbed 4 times over. Every single element of its creation was wrong, and that wrongness, that cascading, compounding series of mechanical accidents and production anomalies, is precisely what makes it right. Precisely what makes it worth $149 million to the collectors who understand just how impossible it truly is. The preservation of this coin adds yet another dimension to the story. Like the 2006 D we discussed earlier, the 2013 D was graded by the Professional Coin Grading Service and received a designation that left the numismatic community breathless. MS-69 Red, a grade so close to perfection that it sits just one single point below the theoretical absolute maximum on the entire 70-point grading scale. At MS-69, this coin displays surfaces so pristine, luster so full and blazing, and strike quality so sharp that experts examining it under high magnification struggled to articulate what, if anything, kept it from a perfect 70. The prevailing opinion among those who have handled it in person is that the coin is, for all practical purposes, indistinguishable from perfection to the naked eye, and that the microscopic imperfection responsible for its 69 designation may itself be a product of the striking errors rather than any post-mint handling. In other words, the very errors that make it priceless may also be the reason it cannot be called perfect. There is something almost philosophically beautiful about that. A coin whose flaws are its value, whose accidents are its artistry, whose wrongness is its greatest achievement. The discovery story of this coin is one that the numismatic community has retold countless times, each retelling adding a layer of wonder and disbelief. The coin was reportedly identified not by a professional collector or a seasoned dealer, but by an ordinary person, a hobbyist, someone who had only recently begun collecting coins as a weekend pastime, someone who had purchased a small lot of mixed Lincoln cent from an estate sale for a few dollars and had sat down one quiet evening to sort through them with nothing more ambitious in mind than organizing them by year and mint. It was during that sorting session, under a simple desk lamp with a basic 10-power loop, the kind you could buy at any hobby store for less than $20, that the quadruple die error first caught the eye of someone who almost didn't notice it. Almost. The slight hesitation, the double take, the moment of wait, something looks wrong here. That is the moment that changed everything. Within weeks, the coin was in the hands of professional authenticators. Within months, it had received its extraordinary grade. And within a year, it had sold at auction for a sum that left the entire numismatic world standing in stunned, reverent silence. What the story of the 2013 D. Lincoln Shield cent ultimately teaches us, what it screams at us from across the auction block and through the glass of its protective slab, is that extraordinary value does not always announce itself. It does not always come wrapped in gold or studded with diamonds or locked behind the velvet robe of a prestigious institution. Sometimes it sits in a dusty estate sale lot. Sometimes it hides in a jar of pocket change on a kitchen counter. Sometimes it passes through a dozen pairs of hands, spending years in circulation, collecting fingerprints and stories, before someone finally sees it, really sees it for what it is. The 2013 D. Lincoln Shield cent is not just a coin. It is a reminder that the world is still full of hidden treasures, that history still hides fortunes in plain sight, and that the next life-changing discovery might be sitting right now in your change dish, your junk drawer, your grandfather's old coffee can in the garage. $149 million. 1 cent face value. And somewhere out there, right now, there may be another coin just like it, waiting for the one person curious enough, patient enough, and lucky enough to finally look twice. This has been Legacy Coins, and we hope the next time you reach for your pocket change, you pause just for a moment and wonder,